Dr. Potter says there were ongoing discussions about her center getting into the network that stopped once she started speaking out.
And I don't know how United defines negotiations. There were emails between our consultants and folks at United after October 1st.
United Healthcare insists there were no ongoing negotiations. Potter says she is in talks to join other insurers' networks, but that United Healthcare's ability to close its network is an unfair power imbalance. And without it, she may not be able to keep her center open.
I've got several months.
Months is not a long time.
I'm not sleeping a lot. I took out $3.5 million of personal loans.
Dr. Potter's story discussed at a recent congressional hearing.
United sought to discredit her and is denying coverage for her surgery center.
What's at stake for breast cancer survivors and patients here?
Everything. I mean, women's health is embattled. The stakes are human.
Priscilla Thompson, NBC News, Austin, Texas.
So this is what's happening. And this is what's happening when you have private insurance, because private insurance can also retaliate against doctors who do not play the game the way they want to. And this is why I say private insurance is a scam. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back who don't want to listen. Private insurance, private health insurance is a scam. Because they're in the business of taking your money and leaving you out to dry or to die. Either way, they get to keep the money. So I'm going to play a video for you guys, and I think this is really important because there was a segment that I did a few weeks back that we were talking about with healthcare. And I think I had on Bay from Real. We were discussing this. But it is important because what has transpired as of late in regards to what this doctor did. So we're going to be talking about Dr. Elizabeth Potter. Dr. Elizabeth Potter is a plastic surgeon, but the kind of plastic surgeon that is not necessarily cosmetic, but this is more plastic surgery that is absolutely necessary, medically necessary type of plastic surgery that this doctor does. And this doctor was trying to get approval for her patient. And in doing so, she showed the process in which she has to do it. And it's a essentially frustrating process. And so we played some of that. So I just want to jog everybody's memory here, and then we will move on into the rest of the story of how doctors, really the private insurance industry is waging war against doctors. So if you guys have not, we'll play this just for a little bit, just to remind and jog everybody's memory.
Hello, this is Dr. Elizabeth Potter. Who is this? Who am I speaking with? Can you not, so you're, sorry, so there's also another wet. So you have two doctors on the call. Will either of you give me your name or MPI number or license number? The reference number for the call, but you won't give me your name or number, and neither will the doctor from Texas. Okay, please give me the reference number. Okay, and is the doctor from Texas? Would that person speak up, please? I'm good. Are you a plastic surgeon? What do you mean subspecialty plastics? I'm a plastic surgeon. I wouldn't say subspecialty. So you're an oculoplastic surgeon. What was your initial training in? So, okay, so we're speaking about lymphedema of the arm. So this is not an area that you're familiar with, correct? Oh, okay. Still practicing, but you won't give me your name? But you're my colleague in plastic surgery, and you won't give me your name. Yeah, I don't understand how it's connected. I understand that the CEO was murdered, right? But I'm your peer, and I want to have a conversation with a peer about a patient who has breast cancer and lymphedema, and I would like to know your name. How do I know who you are? How do I know that you're board certified and that you're a microsurgeon? Like, how do I verify that? I'm just trying to make sure that I'm talking to an expert in this procedure.
So this essentially was a call and really a back and forth between Dr. Elizabeth Potter and a doctor that we don't know who they are, but they work for United Healthcare. And this doctor is really in a position of power of whether to say yes to what this doctor is recommending for their patient, for the insurance company to pay for, or no. So therefore, they literally are holding the life of this patient in their hands. And so Dr. Potter is essentially saying, okay, if you are a doctor that is certified in the same type of practice that I am, if you are, then you see the valid reasons for why I am asking for this procedure to be paid for from the patient's insurance. But as we have seen in this video, the doctor that she's speaking to is not trained in exactly the same realm as Dr. Elizabeth Potter as far as plastic surgery. She is more essential life-saving or life-sustaining practice plastic surgery, versus this doctor is more cosmetic plastic surgery, which is not life-sustaining or life-saving. It is just a cosmetic form. So therefore, they're in the same building, but they're not in the same room. And so she shared this because it was essential that people knew behind the scenes of what's going on within the field between doctors and, private insurance. And the problem is that there are times where the doctor sees something absolutely necessary, but the private insurance may say no because they don't want to spend the money. Because for private insurance, how they make their money is by taking your co-pays, your deductibles, your premiums from you, and then denying you care, but they get to keep that money. So it's a money-making scheme. And so they deny. And this is part of the reason why we saw the murder of the subsidiary of United Healthcare, the CEO, Brian Thompson, allegedly at the hands of a Luigi Mangione that happened in December of last year. So this is why the phrase deny, defend, depose is so famous now, because what we're seeing is deny, defend, depose. We're seeing the process of that carrying out right now with Dr. Elizabeth Potter on the phone. And so with that being said, this is why this is so egregious, because doctors are getting sick and tired of watching their patients die because a private insurance company has power over the lives of patients that are not theirs. The patient didn't go into their office and fill out an application and say, I want to be your patient. Excuse me. Patient didn't go and see that doctor that works for the insurance company and get checked out. They didn't get their full, spectrum as far as, blood tests done. They didn't have, a full body, full body checkup, a physical. They didn't get, any of these things done by the insurance company. It's being done by the doctor. So therefore, it should be the doctor that makes that decision, not the insurance company, not some doctor who we don't know that may not be certified within the same realm as the doctor that is trying to request different procedures to be paid for. And this is why I talk about what I do about healthcare. So I want to get into this as well. Let me share this in regards to Dr. Elizabeth Potter. So I'm going to start off with this, and then we'll get into what has actually happened to Dr. Potter. All right.
In our series, The Cost of Denial, tonight we have the story of a plastic surgeon who put her own money on the line to open a surgery center that helps cancer patients, but says it's at risk of going under because she can't get into a top insurer's network. Priscilla Thompson has our story.
Do you have an alcohol swab, please?
Dr. Elizabeth Potter says the Austin, Texas surgery center she opened in April of last year is at risk of going under.
Can we please get this implant open?
She specializes in a complex breast reconstruction procedure and says most of her patients are cancer survivors. While she is in United Healthcare's network as a surgeon, her surgery center is not.
Why do you think you were denied access?
Money. They have had a PR nightmare of a year. I think they're angry.
Because of the videos you've posted?
Because of all of it.
It's gotten ridiculous that insurance companies really do control when and what kind of care we deliver.
In January, Dr. Potter started posting videos critical of United.
I had another patient come in and share with me that United denied her inpatient stay.
Like this one, where she says the insurer interrupted a surgery in progress.
I got a phone call into the operating room saying that United Healthcare wanted me to call them.
United pushing back, saying United Healthcare did not ask, nor would it ever expect a physician to interrupt patient care to return a phone call.
So that's bullshit, because this literally happened, and the doctor literally videoed while she was scrubbed out of surgery to take a call from the health insurance company because the patient was already administered anesthesia. They were on the table about to be operated on. And the insurance company called regarding that same patient on the operating table. And what if they had said, well, we denied her coverage for that surgery right there? Then what? And so this is wacko. This is crazy. And so no wonder why this surgeon is literally calling out United Healthcare for what they're doing. You see, what allegedly Luigi did is open up a can of worms on the healthcare industry. Because we're not demonizing Luigi anymore. But the effects of what he allegedly did and the purpose of why is still in our minds, because we're still being harmed by this private healthcare system. We're still being denied care. We're still being charged obscene amounts of money for coverage, and then being denied, and then they get to basically take our money and run. So then what? So doctors are now, like Elizabeth Potter, sounding the alarm and saying, hey, we can't do our job as doctors because these guys are in our way. Private health insurance is in the way of doctors taking care of you and me. That's the problem. They are paywalling your care. That's what's happening. And they are denying and saying no to something that could help sustain or save our lives. Let's continue on.
United Healthcare says they did not ask you to step out of surgery.
Yeah, I know. Did they physically make me leave the OR? No. But in 2025, with insurance, when they say jump, I say how high.
Dr. Potter believes her videos are part of why her center remains out of United's network.
You think this is retaliation?
Absolutely.
United Healthcare says not so, that its members have sufficient options for care in the region without her surgery center, and that it informed Dr. Potter on October 1st of last year that it wasn't accepting new surgery centers in her area, well before she posted any videos. Dr. Potter says there were ongoing discussions about her center getting into the network that stopped once she started speaking out.
And I don't know how United defines negotiations. There were emails between our consultants and folks at United after October 1st.
United Healthcare insists there were no ongoing negotiations. Potter says she is in talks to join other insurers' networks, but that United Healthcare's ability to close its network is an unfair power imbalance. And without it, she may not be able to keep her center open.
I've got several months.
Months is
And
not a long time.
I'm not sleeping a lot. I took out $3.5 million of personal loans.
Dr. Potter's story discussed at a recent congressional hearing.
United sought to discredit her and is denying coverage for her surgery center.
And letters of support pour in from across the country.
I'm offering you my services for free. I also clean toilets and could do anything administrative. I work for the low rate of free to you. Signed, big fan.
She's raised more than $500,000 in online donations. Still not enough, she says, to stay open.
What's at stake for breast cancer survivors and patients here?
Everything. I mean, women's health is embattled. The stakes are human.
Priscilla Thompson, NBC News, Austin, Texas.
So this is what's happening. And this is what's happening when you have private insurance, because private insurance can also retaliate against doctors who do not play the game the way they want to. And this is why I say private insurance is a scam. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back who don't want to listen. Private insurance, private health insurance is a scam. Because they're in the business of taking your money and leaving you out to dry or to die. Either way, they get to keep the money. And so this is why it's so important that we stay away, as far away from the excuses of private insurance as possible. And so let me go into this article. Now, there are some bright spots in regards to this story, but I think it is important that we realize that when physicians speak out against insurance, this is part of why it is important that we have a nationalized healthcare system, because you're literally stopping these doctors from actually having a livelihood. Because who pays the doctor? The insurance does. Essentially, the insurance pays the doctors. So it says Texas surgeon says United Healthcare dispute may force her into bankruptcy. So let's continue in this. That's Dr. Elizabeth Potter. Says Potter believes United Healthcare is retaliating against her because of her social media posts, putting her at risk of bankruptcy. The health insurance company, she said, has not allowed her clinic, Redbud Surgery Center in Austin, Texas, to join their in-network list of providers. She started the clinic in April of 2024. Potter herself remains in network, meaning she can perform surgeries in a hospital. But because the facility is out of network, she can't operate there. In-network means health insurer has contract with the healthcare provider, agreeing to pay for services at present preset rates. Out of network means there's no contract, so the insurer can pay less or not at all. Patients are far less likely to see out-of-network doctors because without insurance paying, the patients must cover the entire cost. Because without being able to accept United Healthcare patients in network, Potter said that she likely won't be able to stay in business. While she is in talks with other insurance networks. United Healthcare is the second biggest player in the market, according to the Texas Department of Insurance. Potter says she's currently $5 million in debt, and her husband had to cash out his 401k to help them stay afloat. So now, this is why I say doctors are workers. So if you are on the higher end of the economic ladder, like a physician, this is why worker solidarity means that you have to look at all of us and say, oh, we're all being exploited. Because guess what? Doctors are being exploited too. Yes, doctors can be exploited. I talked about this on Sunday on RBN. How the VA is being, they lost their union contracts. Doctors are being overloaded with cases. And so therefore, because they're being overloaded with cases, guess what? What goes down? Patient care goes down. Because doctors are being overloaded with cases. And they're being overloaded with cases, guess what? What can happen is more mistakes, more flaws can occur because they haven't overloaded patients, which means that things can go wrong. And if they're overloaded with patients, guess what? That also is exhausting. That's taxing. That's fatigue. And what if a doctor is writing a script and they put the decimal in the wrong spot? You see where this is going? You see where this is going? Do you want a sleep-deprived surgeon? Baby, do you want a sleep-deprived surgeon while you're under anesthesia? Do you want a sleep-deprived anesthesiologist? Do you know how many physicians, doctors, are sleep-deprived? How they don't get as much rest as they should because they're overloaded with work? And people say, well, we just need to hire more doctors. We need to hire more doctors. I'm glad you are thinking that. But guess what? In these United States, they're not fighting for us to have more doctors. No. Why would they do such a thing? They don't want to hire us to have more doctors because more doctors would mean that there's more power among the medical community. I'm going to share this too because there's something that has happened. Make sure I have it here. Could have sworn. Here we have it right here. Because people are saying that, oh, well, we just need to have more doctors. Well, technically we do. They're just not using them. So let me share this as well. So it says a cardiothoracic surgeon who is worried about the shortage of doctors in the U.S.
So why are we turning away 55 to 60% of highly qualified applicants to medical school? Why? The Association of the American Medical College basically explains that 55 to 60% of highly qualified medical school applicants are rejected. The reason? Bottlenecking in the residency position. So follow me on this. If we increase the number of medical school seats and increase the number of trained doctors coming out of medical school, you still cannot practice medicine until you complete a residency. We do not have enough residency positions. Why don't we have enough of these medical residencies? Let's dive into this. Even though you've graduated medical school and you're a medical doctor, you cannot practice medicine until you complete a residency. The number of residencies are capped by Medicare. Medicare is the largest funder for GME, graduate medical education, or residency positions. We spend about $10 billion annually on these residency positions, and this has not been expanded since 1997, despite the desperate need for more doctors in the United States. So the Balanced Budget Act from 1997, which caps the number of residents we can have in the United States, has not been altered since 1997, and they were basically looking at 1996 needs. Since then, our population has aged, healthcare needs have skyrocketed. We simply need more doctors, and the government has not allocated funding for this. Now that we have this big, beautiful bill passed, we know that Medicare is going to be further cut. So all of us who are in teaching positions as surgeons who teach residents, we are 100% positive that we're going to see cuts to GME, to graduate medical education. So
Now, I'm going to say this, because a lot of people will say, well, the government's the problem. Who owns our government? It is not us. It is corporations. And if we had more doctors, then, well, that means that an influx of doctors means that hospitals and medical practices, well, they would have to have more doctors on staff, right? Which means that would lower the prices, not the prices, but they would lower the profits of what the shareholders for these private hospitals get. That means you would have more doctors that are being paid by the private insurance companies, and they would have to either yes or no more people. So they have a lot more doctors that they would have to be paying out to. This will also lower the caseload of a lot of doctors. And because you have more physicians, you'll have a lot more people that are able to get treatment because there's more doctors available, which means that you wouldn't have to wait as long. Wait times and doctors' offices would be less full. If we kept the same amount of beds, or we increased as our population increased instead of decreasing, then healthcare would be a lot more swift, a lot more breezy. But unfortunately, because you got big pharma, you got the big hospitals, corporations, like for instance, Hospital Corporations of America, HCA, they're literally trying to replace nurses with AI. What's that about? So ultimately, it's about money, it's about profits. This is why they don't want more doctors. They're bottlenecking the amount of doctors that we actually get to a slow drip. And then you add in the racial aspect. How many of those doctors could be Black? Right? We always talk about, we need more Black doctors. Well, guess what? We may have a lot of people who, graduated medical school. And yes, we will clap for those Black doctors that graduated medical school, but are they residents now? How many of them are residents? How many of them were, allowed to complete residency?
what does that mean for you? The Association of the American Medical College anticipates that we're going to be short 130,000 plus physicians. That's 55,000 primary care physicians and 77,000 plus non-primary care physicians, or us specialty physicians like me, a surgeon, by 2036. So we have a problem here in America, and not many people are talking about it or realizing it. But you will once you need someone like me, a doctor. So we really need to look at legislation so that we can increase the number of residency positions. We need money allocated to this. And quite frankly, we need our politicians to do something right for once.
So that's part of it. And as far as we know, when it comes to the medical insurance companies, it's not just doctors that are being hit hard. It's patients, it's doctors, it's all of us. I want to share this as well, because private insurance is warring against doctors and patients.
You know, I think the only thing worse than not having health insurance is having health insurance. Like, we live in a country with the best healthcare in the world, but you can't use it. Like, unless you're, you know, whatever, Joe Rogan, and you're a millionaire and you're, you know, oh, I got this regenerative therapy, a disc in my back, and it's only $6,000 is all you have to have done because your health insurance is going to cover it. So I'll tell you what happened to me. I'm going to try and make it short, but it's kind of a long story. But this is how screwed up like having health insurance is. So if we go back a year, my son turned a year old and got dropped off Medicaid. Now we had a appointment scheduled for him to have tubes put in his ears because he was getting constant ear infections. Okay, that surgery cost like $11,000, and he was dropped off Medicaid like a week before the surgery was scheduled. And the thing was, we had to schedule that appointment like 7 months out. That's the earliest they could get him in. So if we were to reschedule the appointment, who knows how long we would have had to wait.
So hang on, let's stop there. They had to schedule him 7 months out, right? But would he had to have been scheduled out as far if we had more doctors? If we had more available doctors and specialists that were able to care for his son? Mm-hmm. But see how this goes? See how this is all connected? Let's continue.
At least another 6-7 months. And in that amount of time, I didn't have time to like find health insurance and all this stuff beforehand because it was literally scheduled for a week later. So we paid cash price. The cash price was less than half of the cost of the surgery if you had health insurance, the like $11,000. I ended up paying like $5,000. Now, the only thing about doing that was you had to pay half the price up front. So I had to come up with $2,500 to pay half the price the day of the surgery, which I did, drain my savings. And the rest of the bill, I haven't paid a dime on it. It's in collections.
Oh, how many of us is in collections right now? I know I am. And so now you have Americans having to dip into their savings and then drain their savings in order to be able to take care of their families, of themselves. And then you also have Americans that they have to try to find health insurance. Open enrollment is only a couple times a year, and for that short period of time. If we had a nationalized healthcare system, then you wouldn't have to worry about enrollment. You would have to worry about trying to find health insurance because you would automatically be enrolled into health insurance the moment you take your first breath as soon as you come out the womb. And your health insurance would last until you take your last breath and then you expire. I think that's how it should be, but it's not.
I don't really care. But it gets worse because I got health insurance after that. And now neither one of our employers offer health insurance. My employer offers insurance for me, just the employee, and it's expensive. And so I don't have that. I don't even have their health insurance. So we got a private family plan from United Healthcare. Right before, the CEO had the thing happen to him, right? That I can't say on TikTok. So then I start finding out how terrible United Healthcare is because of that news story, right? And they start talking about how they deny all these claims and all this stuff, which is great because that's what we had. And it's literally like the next cheapest option was like at least $300 more a month than what we were paying with them, which I can't afford. I can't even afford to pay them, let alone pay more. Then, like a month ago, my wife had to have her gallbladder taken out. And it was pretty urgent. Like it had to come out soon. So they scheduled an appointment for like a week later. And I decided to call the health insurance to make sure that it was going to be covered and to see what it would cost and all this stuff. Now, our insurance broker that we went through told us that we had a $5,000 deductible. This was Freedom Life Insurance, is a broker, I guess, that we went through that found the health insurance plan. Our agent told us we had a $5,000 deductible with our plan. Turns out that's not the case. To get a $5,000 deductible would cost an extra $650 a month to have a plan that came with a $5,000 deductible. So for the low price of $1,180 a month, you would get the privilege of only owing $5,000 if you had to use it. So our insurance broker's suggestion was to go ahead and have the surgery done, and that you can file for financial aid and the hospital might write off some of the bills and all this stuff. Okay, that surgery cost $15,000, and then she had to stay the night at the hospital because of some complications. Okay, so far, I've gotten another $12,000 almost in bills from that overnight stay. So we're looking at like $27,000 that we owe right now. And so far, the insurance has covered $900 of it. Like 2 months of my premium. That's all they're paying towards it. Even though I've paid on it for a year and I've paid them over $6,000 in insurance premiums. They covered $900 of the total bill. I mean, is that not a scam? I mean, imagine any other business model where they said, okay, you just pay us like an entire paycheck every month and we might cover something, and even if we do cover it, you're still going to owe us like a bunch more money on the deduction.
Should we do business with a company that might do what they say they're going to do? That's why I say private insurance is a scam. Hell, I would reckon to say auto insurance is a scam, home insurance is a scam. I think all private insurance is a scam. I say we should have nationalized health care. I think we should have single payer auto insurance, single payer homeowners insurance, single payer renters insurance. I think we should be single payer except for healthcare. That should be just completely nationalized.
So the conclusion I made was that I paid these people $6,000 a year for the premium, and that doesn't even come with the deductible. I'd have to pay them $1,100 a month to get a deductible, right? So if I pay them like $6,000 a year to not even have a deductible, why wouldn't I just put that $6,000 in like a high yield savings account and then use it if you need to have something done to just pay the cash price, because the cash price is like half of what it is if you run it through insurance. Which, by the way, is what I was going to do for my wife's surgery. I was going to say, well, we're just not even use the insurance. We'll just cancel it, and I'll just pay the self-pay price. Turns out you can't do that because the hospital will sue you if they find out you have health insurance, because they make more money if they charge your health insurance.
Oh, snap. Now you see why I say that we should have a nationalized healthcare system. Because you don't just have to worry about the health insurance companies. Now you have to worry about private hospitals. Hell, even some non-for-profit hospitals, you got to worry about them too. Because their goal is also to make money, to make profit. So if you actually have insurance, but it's cheaper to not use your insurance, they're going to sue you. They'll sue you. Isn't that wild? But if you have a nationalized healthcare system, you don't have to ever worry about insurance. You don't have to ever worry about hospitals being privatized, and then they can do things like this. No. They'll actually, everything's paid for through taxation. It's nothing out of pocket. People go, well, our taxes will go up. Hey, you're already paying a tax. You're already paying a private tax anyway. It's called premiums, deductibles, copays. You're already paying a tax. Why not just cut that tax that you're paying in half and then just redirect whatever you're paying to the government? And people go, well, you actually want the government to actually, run this? And I'm saying, first of all, we should change the economic system overall, get rid of both parties because they're trash, and have a government that actually works for workers. But yes, we should have a fully nationalized system. Because if the government was actually ran by us, that would be such an issue. But it's not in our hands. It's in the hands of the parasite class.
I mean, who wrote that law? We have to ensure that you're getting screwed. There's no way out of it. Yeah, so that's fun because, we're wanting to try to move soon. Try to save up money for that so we can have another kid. People wonder why the birth rate's so low. Which, honestly, I'm not going to pay any of this bill either. What they got to do? Take me to jail? Well, I will start paying if they can design a system that actually works and doesn't just screw everybody over. The number one cause for bankruptcy is medical debt. Why is it that it is just okay if in this country to extract wealth from people that don't have any? But if you're a billionaire, you don't even have to pay taxes. Because that's all any of this is. It's all a scam. It's all designed to screw you over and take your money. The people that have no money, they want to take more of your money and give it to the millionaires and the billionaires. Well, you get screwed. You get stuck with bankruptcy and your kids have no future.
It's wealth transfer. That's what it is. Wealth transfer. Whatever little we have left goes to the wealthy. As if they're gods and we have to pay the tithe just to exist. Say, fuck their tithe. But that's honestly how it is now. And there has been a bright spot. There has been a bright spot that I want to share. That, Dr. Elizabeth Potter has had when her story went viral. Let's take a look at this, then we'll read the caption.
Well, I know it's right. I know it's true. So come at me. Dr. Elizabeth Potter is a board-certified plastic and reconstructive surgeon, nationally recognized for her expertise in microsurgical natural tissue breast reconstruction. But her resume extends well beyond the OR. She's an outspoken patient rights advocate who helped spearhead the push for a dedicated billing code. A billing or CPT code is like a barcode for a surgery. If that barcode exists, insurance can scan it and pay. Essentially, she ensured that women wouldn't lose access to this state-of-the-art procedure. You might also know Dr. Potter from the viral story earlier this year where United Healthcare allegedly called her while in the OR mid-surgery to grill her about a cancer patient's overnight stay. She stepped out of the operation to defend the patient's case, posted the story to her Instagram, and suddenly millions of people got a front row seat to the bureaucratic madness doctors wrestle with every day.
So that was Dr. Mike. He actually has a very popular YouTube show where I think he's still a practicing physician, but he also has a popular YouTube show. And this is what Dr. Elizabeth Potter has said. She said, when I saw that Dr. Mike donated $10,000 to the GoFundMe to help save my practice, I cried happy tears. Who does that? It was such an honor to be on Dr. Mike's podcast, the Check Out Podcast. This whole crew is the real deal, every bit as kind and genuine as you'd hope. They welcomed me with open arms, gave me space to share more of my story, offered great advice, and reminded me I'm not alone. If you haven't listened yet, I hope you will. Being embraced by this community means more than I can say. Thank you, Dr. Mike, for everything.
I know it's right. I know it's true. So come at me.
Sorry, it's replaying. But and it ends with, so who does that? Great doctors who see me taking the hit for all of us and want me to keep going. If you haven't stepped up to donate, now is the time. And she shares the GoFundMe. But the problem is that this is the issue with private health insurance, right? Is that private health insurance also gets in the way of our doctors. Do you want your doctor to be blocked by somebody else who holds the money in their hand and then they deny you ever getting the care that you need? That is not fair. That is not right. That is not ethical. This is why I talk about having a nationalized healthcare system. Because ultimately, the doctors, in large part, I mean, of course, you're going to have some crappy doctors. There's crappy people in every profession and in every industry. But in large part, there's a lot of doctors who actually do care, that want to provide the best for their patients, but health insurance, particularly private health insurance, can get in the way. And the funny part is, one of the easiest health insurances to deal with is actually Medicare. The government-ran public health insurance, that's actually one of the easiest ones to deal with. One of the hardest ones is United. So when private health insurance companies are waging war against doctors, they're also waging war against you, because they don't want you to get the care, because your care doesn't matter to them, but your money does. Thank you so very much for watching my channel, and I deeply appreciate it from the top and bottom of my heart. If you wish to support the channel further, so I can keep bringing you content that is educational and informative, you can become a patron on patreon.com/Jaybefaunt. You can find that link in the pinned comment or in the description below. No matter what you give, you'll be supporting independent media and education that helps make the world better. Thank you so much, and you can watch more of my content here. Mwah. Forehead kisses, and have a beautiful day.